Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of A Gardener's Journey Homestead. As you can see, I'm in the high tunnel today. And today I'm going to give you a tour of the high tunnel. So this is the June tour of the high tunnel and let you know how things are going, what's being planned, what has gone well, what has not gone well. So if you want to hear more about that, stick around and let's see what's growing in the high tunnel. I can't wait to show you. Okay guys, let's start with the seed starting table. I have to water. So some of these in the back are looking a little wilty, but once they get water, they'll revive yet again. Here are some tomato seeds that I planted. I'm pretty sure I did a video on this, so you guys can see that they are looking great. I'm actually gonna put them in the ground later today. So that's how that's doing. My lemon and lime trees are hanging on. And then look at my eucalyptus. It is going much better. And I realized that I planted this in the fall. Remember, I did this in October, but it's actually a summer plant. But I guess you can say I overwintered it. It grew a little bit, but now it's really, really growing. So I'm gonna actually do some more. And then here are some, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, I'm sure, Masaki sweet potatoes. In this container, there's like 4 or 5 slips. A friend of mine gifted me these, and so it's my first time. We'll see how they do. This is bed number 1, you guys, and so look at my lettuce. I'm really surprised that the lettuce is hanging on. If you remember from the last video, I had a lot of other lettuce in here that bolted and I had to take it out. This one is actually still hanging on. And I'm really surprised because it's been really, really, really hot. I can see I got some kind of probably sun damage right there. But overall, the lettuce is doing good. Here is the purple basil. It's doing good. I haven't used any of it yet. And then this back here is a pepper that's starting to flower. So I'm really, really surprised about the lettuce bed. But as long as it's doing okay, I'm going to keep it. So when we go across the way to this bed here, remember this is the bed with the onions, and I'll link a video where I harvested my onions last week. And you can see in the back, I just have some flowers. I've planted some calendula, and I don't remember what the other flower is. So that's just flowers along the border. But I just actually planted seed in this today, and I'm gonna put some bush beans in here. So you guys, you know that I've talked about, trying to experiment and figure out what grows best in the raised bed in the high tunnel, raised bed behind my house, or the garden outside. And so you guys, if you've been with me, you know that I've tried the same crop different ways to see kind of what works. I'm sorry, that sun is bright. So I've never done bush beans in the raised bed, but since I have this open, I thought that I would. So I'm gonna put bush beans in that bed. The Blue Lake. Just from a history perspective, I did do Blue Lake bush beans in my high tunnel last year. I did them in the ground in the high tunnel. And then I also have some in the garden outside, but I've never done a raised bed. Since they're bush, that means that they don't need to vine. They're gonna be kind of compact, just like a bush, so I don't need to have a trellis. And so that's easy. And so I'm gonna put them in this bed here and let's see what happens. Next, check out this flower bed, y'all. So for those that are new, I'm growing cut flowers for the first time this year, just for my own enjoyment and for my own pleasure. I love flowers. And so I actually have the first bouquet on my table in my house of sunflowers. You can see way up there. That sunflower got way on up there. It's literally almost touching the top. But I cut some of these and put them in my house for the first bouquet. But look at these pretty flowers. That's a zinnia, one of my favorites. This is China Aster. Of course, that's a sunflower. This right here is celosia. That's gonna be a snapdragon. And that's Gumfrina. So yeah, I'm excited about how this is turning out. Then across the way, this is the bed of, I don't know what we want to call this bed, but anyway, this is where my Yukon Gold potatoes were. And let me tell you about these Yukon Gold potatoes. So in my harvesting video that I did last week, I attempted to harvest the Yukon Gold potatoes. But you guys, if you watch that video, I'll link it up above. If you watch that video, you'll see that the ants have taken over this bed. Like, I got all bit up and I just stopped the whole I stopped the whole production. But they were the ones that I did get out were really, really small. So I'm gonna let them hang out for 2 weeks and see what happens. And so it's already been 1 week. I'm gonna give it 1 more week to see if it gets bigger. And then I'm gonna talk to my husband real nice and ask him to come and do this. The ants don't bother him, but they love me. So I'm gonna give it 1 more week. We'll see what we have. If we have something, great. If not, we're gonna clean this bed out and use it for something else. Next, this is bed number 3 on the left side. So in this bed, y'all, remember I had broccoli. The broccoli did not make it. It simply got eaten up by insects, so it didn't make it. But in this bed, I also have flowers. You can also see that I have some flower damage from Japanese beetles. I'm in zone 7A, and so let me know if you're in zone 7A or whatever zone you're in, if you've been infiltrated by the Japanese beetle this year. It is insane. But in this bed, I have some nasturtiums. And y'all be honest, this is my second time doing nasturtiums. I'm just not a fan. I know I probably will do it just because they're good for insect repellent. But in terms of the way they look, I'm just not a fan. I mean, it's pretty colors, but it just, I don't know. I'm just not a fan. I don't like the leaves and the way they look. But check this out over here. Let me go over here and show you my bell pepper. We got some bell peppers coming in. Let's see. Right there. And then this is my eggplant. It is starting to flower. And I see that I have some ants all on this one. Oh, the insects, the insects. Then we'll go over here. This is the sweet potato bed. As you can see, they're starting to get more leaves and all of that. So looking forward to that. Over here is the herb, the circular bed. So there's Thai basil, there's Dusty Miller, there's sage, there's basil. In the back is some rosemary. And then way down there, I have some echinacea for the first time. I did all of that from seed. And then over here is the flower circular bed. So you can see the Japanese beetles tore my zinnias up. I just clipped them this morning to see if they will regrow. This is a China aster. And then all that in the back is zinnias. We're gonna see if they're gonna regrow. But the Japanese beetles literally just tore them up. Y'all, I hate the insects. And I know that it is beneficial. I know that it is part of the ecosystem. And I know that we need certain insects in the garden. But the ones that just tear up your stuff, the Japanese beetles, I've used neem oil and I've used insecticidal soap. If you have any other suggestions, please let me know. But they are like on a warpath, tearing up my stuff. So we didn't have Japanese beetles last year, which is strange, but we did have them the year before. So they are everywhere. The rose bushes in front of my house, they have completely annihilated or whatever. So I'm doing the best that I can. If you have any tips, please put them down below. Let me show you. So that's all the stuff in the raised beds in the high tunnel. Let me show you how the stuff in the ground is growing. Okay guys, so we have 2 rows here on the right side. The one on my left is mostly peppers, and then the one on the right is going to be mostly tomatoes. Now, this side right here is where I had all of the cabbage. If you remember from the last garden tour, it didn't make it. Got completely eaten up by insects, completely. So here's what I've decided. I think. So I think when it comes to cool weather crops, I'm gonna just stick to the fall. So do my cabbages, my broccoli, and all that stuff September, October, and then let it do its thing. And then once it's done, I don't know that I'm going to try a spring crop again in the greenhouse. I think it just gets too hot and too humid, as well as the insects. So I lost all my cabbage that I started from seed, and I lost all my broccoli because of the insects. So I think that's what I'm going to try, and rely on the fall with the cooler temperatures. And that's one thing about it. If you don't do a fall garden, you definitely need to consider it, because one thing you don't have to do is compete with insects and ants and all of the stuff, right? But that's part of it in the summer. But let me know if you go in a high tunnel, and if you're in my zone 7A or close, if you are doing spring plantings of those types of things like cabbages and stuff like that, and if they're making it in your high tunnel. I would love to know. Okay, so I'll walk down this aisle so you can see there's a tomato plant right there, and that's actually, I think, a tomato. Yeah, that's a tomato that I grew from seed. This is another tomato coming up. This is the one and only of this type of steak that I have. I don't like it. I'm glad I only bought one. It's just real flimsy. It's just not real sturdy. Right here are some habaneros. You can see they are forming. You can see that. First time growing habaneros. You can see all on this side. I just put these in the ground, these tomatoes, about 4 or 5 days ago. I started them from seed and just put them in the ground, so they'll be taken off hopefully shortly. Here is a flower, celosia. I can't remember the name, the color of this, but I like it. It's really, really pretty. And then you can see the peppers and tomatoes will all be here. You see, I have some peppers right here. I need to stand this plant up because, yeah, you can see I have some peppers, so I'm just waiting for them to turn. So that was the benefit. Oh, and I have some more right here. Let's see. Yep, I have some more right there coming in, and then I have some jalapenos here. So be glad when my bell peppers turn. And then here on this side, this is one of my new favorite flowers. This is the black-eyed Susan Rebecca. I love this. It's so pretty. I grew this from seed. I love having it in the hot tunnel. Next year, I'm going to make sure that I actually put it in my garden outside, so I think it'll look really, really pretty. But yes, I love this. It's so pretty. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so back to the tour. So on this side here in the very back, these are cucumbers that I did from seed. And I only have like maybe 5 or 6. Maybe 7 or 8. I want to see how they do in the greenhouse. Last year they did not do as great. I noticed last year the cucumbers didn't do great in the hot tunnel, and we had a problem with getting bees in here even though it's open all the time. But I think that has something to do obviously with the cucumbers not doing as well, because they need the bees to pollen, because this is a kind that actually needs pollination. Now, I did hear about a cucumber that I'm going to try next year. I don't have it, so it's probably too late for me to try and get it and to start it. That is great for a hot tunnel that does not need pollination. Like, that's a little scary, but okay. And I saw hers, and she has cucumbers growing in her hot tunnel. So, but we're going to see what these do. And again, I only plant like 7 or 8, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so now I'm kind of at the front of the row. So I have the cucumbers in the back of this row right here, but then here is where I have all of the black-eyed peas that took the place of the collard greens and kale that was in this row right here. So that's where the black-eyed peas are going to be. They've been in the ground a couple of weeks, so you can see so far pretty good growth. Then this is the tomato row. I have all sorts of tomatoes here you can see coming in. I have beefsteak. I have Amish paste. That's Amish paste right there. You can see tomatoes coming in there. And then y'all, let me stop here. Look at my new favorite. This is a marigold, but it's Kilimanjaro white. I love this. I love it's like a white, off-white, yellow color. I love that. Let me step across. There's more tomatoes there. So you can see I have tomatoes all down this row. And because I'm kind of up close, you might not be able to see. But let me see if I can get a shot here. I'm really proud of my tomatoes in terms of they're standing up, they're staked. It's not the final stake in the way that we're going to do it. It's just what we've had time for. But remember, I told you we're using these green stakes. And then we have these compostable clips that we're using. As you can see, this stake is not tall enough. So ideally, we're going to run something up at the top and put string. We just haven't had a chance to get to it. But this is far better than it was last year. They were all on the ground. They were falling over. I didn't prune. So this year, I'm pruning, and it's just more manageable. Okay. And then this very last row are black eyed peas again. So we did this we seeded this about when my friends came. So I'll link that video as well. We did this, I think, about a month ago. So you can see they're much further ahead. I also did a video where we put this trellis up. You can see they're already surpassing the trellis in many places. And we're starting to get flowers here, you can see. Which means we'll have black eyed peas very soon. Okay guys, so that is the high tunnel tour for June. Making some progress. Let me see if I can go out here because the sun is bright. So making some progress for sure. Again, and just like with every tour, wins and some losses, right? So my broccoli, my cabbage didn't make it. I didn't get a chance to eat one bite. Not one bite. The insects took it over. So that's what happens. That's what comes with the territory. But I'm happy about my flowers. I'm happy about my tomatoes. I'm excited to have the first, real tomato harvest, hopefully really soon. Hopefully they'll start to blush in the next week or so. And just, again, I love the progression, right? And that's what it's all about, is that every time you do something, every time you try something new, you learn, right? And so your gardening season this year is not going to be your same gardening season next year, right? You're going to learn. You're going to have some losses. You're going to say, okay, nope, not going to do that. Yeah, let me do that next. So you're going to learn. And that's the beauty of this gardening journey, right? One day at a time, one step at a time, one plant at a time, right? So thank you guys so much for going on the journey with me. Let's wait and see what happens in the next 30 days, because we're about to be in the peak of garden season. It's the 3rd week of June. So y'all, we're just getting started. We are just getting started. We have another good couple of months to go to really, really get into the peak and harvest and all of that. So I'm excited. I hope that you guys are too. Let me know what you guys are growing in your garden, how things are going in your area. And if you have any tips for any of the stuff that I showed you, I'm always open to suggestions. Remember, if you like what you're saying, please subscribe to my channel. Tell somebody else about it. And always know that gardening is a journey, right? You can do it. I don't care if it's your first time putting your hands in dirt like I was 2 years ago. It is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time.